In this week's episode of One Piece, the defeat of Doflamingo has sent a shockwave through the One Piece world. A lot of the most important characters from the series are reacting to the defeat of the pink boa-wearing bastard. Pirates, Marines, the Supernovas, and even some characters that we haven't even seen yet, which have been heavily hinted at. Yeah, that's right. You guys want a little spoiler? They actually showed one of the 4 emperors in this week's episode, although he was completely in shadow and in silhouette. This was a great moment that sent a big chill down my spine, and this is one of those episodes of One Piece that I absolutely loved, expanding on the size of the world and seeing that it's not just all about the Straw Hat Pirates, and what they do always ends up sending a big reaction to the world. So this was a really great episode. The first half was pretty slow, basically with just Kyros giving this big speech to all of the Tontada tribe, letting them know, "We are disbanded! No more battling for the Dressrosa Kingdom, but we still got lots of work to do, so let's have a good time while we do it." It's real nice. I'm glad they had to wrap up that storyline. It was a necessary evil. The rest of the episode is a lot more interesting when we get to see the Marines reacting to all of the crazy shit that's going on. Before even the 5 Elders and Akainu even know what actually happened at Dressrosa, they have this great scene where Akainu is just chewing them out, and they're not hearing any of it. When suddenly they come in, they announce that Doflamingo has been defeated, and all of this information has been leaked freely to the world. So Akainu is literally about to shit a lava brick, and that's when he decides to give Isho Fujitora a little snail call. And basically, these two just have this amazing fight, with Isho basically standing up for his principles, not wanting to basically work behind the shadows and manipulate certain events, with Akainu saying, "Look, if you are going to come back, you're going to have to come back with some big results. You're going to have to give me the head of Luffy and Law. Otherwise, I'm not even going to allow you into a single Marine base." The best thing about this scene is that, one, Isho himself does not back down whatsoever. He is screaming into this phone, but the reaction from his fellow Marines is fantastic because they are horrified. They do not want anything really crazy to happen, a big gravitational explosion, maybe magma is going to fall from the sky. All I know is Fujitora is one of my favorite Marine characters. Speaking of Marines, we also got to see some cameos from Smoker and their entire crew. They even have all of the kids from Punk Hazard, who are still being just as annoying as ever. We also get a lot of cameos from some of the Supernovas like Eustace Kid, Basil Hawkins, and of course Scratchman Apu. They formed their alliance to go after Red-Haired Shanks, which seems like a death wish in my opinion. I honestly think that he would just completely destroy these guys, filleting their asses and making them look like a bunch of punks. And then we have a great scene with Bonnie, who is returning, transforming into a kid. And my favorite one was when we got to see Uruge, who was hanging up in the skies, basically just chilling and being awesome like he always is, when suddenly some of his subordinates are running and they're being chased by some sort of giant shadowy monster. Hoo-hoo! That's definitely one of my favorite parts from this week's episode. That guy's going to be kind of an important character. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of One Piece? You know what the most surprising part about this week's episode of One Piece is? The preview for next week's episode. It's going to be a filler episode all about Sabo's past. And you know what? I welcome this. It's going to be a nice change of pace from all of this Dressrosa stuff. It looks like it has a lot of really great animation, and it just looks like they want to make a decent Sabo episode, and this is an episode that needs to happen. We need to learn a little bit more about him and all the things that he did when he was younger, and I love the fact that it looks like he's going to have a confrontation with Kuma, and it looks like it's going to be a pretty intense battle, and you gotta realize this is Sabo when he's just a little guy, so I really cannot wait to see what they're going to do with that episode, but it's going to be a nice little break before we go back to this post-Dressrosa arc. That being said, this was still a pretty good episode. We had to see this episode because this usually happens at the end of just about every single major arc, especially because the Straw Hat Pirates are constantly making their name known. As soon as they, take down a big government or a bad guy, there's always repercussions from it, and you get to see a lot of that in this episode. Because they took down Doflamingo, it's actually sort of, destroyed their whole, creating these, smile fruits and everything, and a lot of pirate groups are really pissed about this, and basically they're gonna want to kill Luffy and Law at this point, so they've also made a lot of brand new enemies in this episode, and I especially loved some of the cameos from some characters who are going to be making their presence known in some of the upcoming arcs. Some nice teases to those in this episode, especially the one with Uruge. That was a scene that, honestly, now as that I read the manga and I know what's going to happen, I really appreciated that scene a lot more. And just getting to see all of the other characters react to the defeat of Doflamingo, that was a pretty big deal. And, of course, there was Isho, who was just standing his ground, which was really fantastic, and basically sticking it in Akainu's craw. I thought that was pretty great. I also love the hint about Kuzan, who apparently is working with Blackbeard, although I have a feeling he has ulterior motives. I cannot wait to see where that part of the story is going. Just lots of great stuff in this episode. You know, whenever it involves, like, the biggest higher-ups from the Marines, like the Elders or Akainu, it's definitely a really big deal. So this was actually a pretty decent episode, but again, the pacing is just sort of all over the place. But then again, this is the post-Dressrosa arc. The pacing was off even in the manga version, in my humble opinion. But still, we have some exciting twists and turns coming up in the next couple of episodes, as well as the introduction of some brand new key characters. So let's get really excited for that. But before we do get there, let's get hyped for this Sabo episode. I'm genuinely excited for this one. I really was, like, hyped up by the preview. You know, filler in One Piece is a lot rarer than filler than we see in some other series, like, say, Naruto or something, where the filler is mostly predominant, it seems like, at this point. So I'm actually sort of, like, welcoming this change and seeing what they're going to do with this story, which, like I said, just watch the preview. It looks really exciting. So I liked this episode right here. It wasn't my favorite episode of the series, of course. You know, it's not like a crazy action episode or, like, any big revelations. But it's good to see that the Straw Hats are still making their name known in this brand new world, and how they're starting to get through to, like, the higher-ups of the world government, and how they're sort of, like, sending a shockwave to all of them. I think that's really awesome. So this was a good episode, so I'm going to give this one right here a 4 out of 5. Check it out, One Piece fans. You might see something you like. If any of you had the opportunity to watch this week's episode of One Piece, make sure to tell me what you thought about it in the comment section below. Did you guys have a favorite scene from this episode, a favorite character cameo? Are you excited to see what they're going to do for the next arc of the series? Are you excited for the Sabo episode? What do you hope that they're going to tell in that story? And what do you want to see from the rest of the One Piece anime series? Please tell me in the comment section below. You guys are awesome. Thank you for watching this review. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, follow us on social media, and make sure to check all of that stuff out in the description box below. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby.